Okay, so Renee from The Longer Life requested that I do this video a really long time ago. And I already taped it once, but it stopped midway and I didn't even notice. And I just kept talking, and it didn't even tape. So my motto is better late than never these days, and I am going to get right down to it. This is the planning tag, and question one is, will you find out the gender? I can say with a fair amount of certainty that we will. Um, my husband has said in the past that he would like to wait, and the way I see it, and I fully respect people who want to wait. Kudos to you for having that patience. But I think whether you get surprised 20 weeks or at the end, maybe I will change my mind after we've already had a baby. But I think you'll be just as surprised at 20 weeks. I don't know. That's how I feel about it now, and I wanna do something romantic for finding out. Maybe like have the sonographer like write the sex down or the gender down in a piece of paper, and then we'd go out to dinner and like open it up together and celebrate or something to that extent. So yeah, finding out the gender for sure. I also love to decorate, and I would love to have a chance to, decorate a nursery, having something in mind. Um, yeah, not, yeah, I really would like to do that. Well, it depends on whether the baby wants to be seen or not, right? So we'll try to find out the gender. Will we use a pacifier is the second question. I am not really either for or against a pacifier. Uh, my nieces they sucked on their thumb and they've never used a pacifier. My nephew now uses a pacifier. I think there are pros and cons to both. I think a pacifier can really become a crutch for babies, but a thumb can too, and a thumb you cannot take away. My niece is almost 6 and she still sucks on her thumb, and her thumb is constantly there and you cannot like take it away. I think if we do use a pacifier, that I would try for it not to become an all day thing. Maybe just for when you go to sleep or for in the car, something to that extent. Do I have any nursery ideas is question number 3. Not specifically. I don't have like a set thing that, oh, I want to do that. I do know that I am not into very baby oriented nurseries, if that makes any sense. I don't like some stuff that is very, I would like it to be a lovely room with a crib in it. But nothing like, I'm not a big fan of animal decals and, you know, yeah, that would be more my thing. And nothing too gender oriented. I am not a big fan of baby pink, like soft pink. So if we're having a little girl, I probably would not paint walls pink. And if we're having a boy, probably would not paint walls blue. But as far as having a very specific idea in mind, no, I don't. Fourth question, are you the first, middle, last of friends to TTC? The first, I think. People here, I am almost 28, and all of our friends are more or less in the same age group, and none of them here have children. I'm lying. Friends of my husband's do, but it was an accident baby. So she had a baby at 25. Uh, but for the rest, people who actually actively are trying to have kids, I am as far as I know, we are the first ones. Uh, this is here in Europe. And back at home, people are already getting second kids. Over there, I think people just get started a lot earlier. Number 5, will you get or use hand-me-downs? Absolutely. I think that children outgrow things so quickly. I think that baby gear can be reused if it's been taken care of properly. and I do not like spending a lot of money. I like trying to figure out a way to do things for less, which is why we're redoing a house all on our own. So yes is the answer to that question. How close in age would you like your children? That's a question that I'm not really sure. I have always thought 2 years apart. But you know you can't plan these things. I do know that I would not try to, especially because I know that our kids will have to go to daycare. Um, and I having a kid in daycare is about 500 euros a month per child. So if you have two children close in age that have to go to daycare at the same time, it is a huge, huge expense. I'm sure we would make do if that happened, but I would try not to. I think I would want them to be spaced out about 2 years. My sister and I are like that. Then again, my husband is 6 years younger than his sister and 8 years younger than his brother, and he never had any trouble with that. And my sister and I actually, growing up, we got into a lot of fights and we didn't get along. So I don't think there's a recipe for it. I think um, I think ideally 2 years apart, but I don't know. Maybe it won't work out that way. Question number 7. Who will you make your own baby food? Yeah, probably if I have the time, but I am not adamant about that. Will you co-sleep? I don't think so. My husband is very against that, and I am not entirely comfortable with that. I would be very worried about rolling over, baby falling out of the bed, and yeah, just right now from where I am at now, I would say no, but I'm a firm believer in never say never. But if my husband has anything to say about it, and I think he does, probably not. Will you use a stroller? Do you believe in using a stroller? Yeah, absolutely. I am petite. I have very weak ankles, and I am all the time twisting my ankles and falling down, seriously. And like having a carrier all the time, especially here in the city. It's an old city, medieval city, lots of cobblestones, and I would be terrified about falling down, baby and all. And I think I am definitely all for a stroller. I do love the idea of carrying your baby around, and I will do that. But it won't not be the only way that we choose to transport or move our kid in town. Number 10, will you go back to work or stay at home? I think I already almost answered this. I will have to go back to work. I don't know how people, I know that in the States there are a high percentage of stay-at-home moms. Um, I don't know of anyone here who is a stay-at-home mom, not a single person. Both parents have to work to make ends meet, and it will be our case as well. I am heartbroken about it. Maternity leave here is only 14 weeks or 15 weeks, which is not very long at all. You can take an extra extended period of 3 months, but at best, your kid is 6 months old by the time you have to go back to work. So that kills me. And there are no grandparents here to take kids 1 day a week or anything. So going back to work it is. Not looking forward to that. After a newborn or infant, how long will you let a child cry before going to them? I think you need to know your kid, and I think if you know the cry and you know like they're just being fuzzy, I'd probably cry it out for a little bit. Uh, if you realize that something's wrong, I'd go immediately. But I'm not. I think I would wait it out for a little bit. How long? I don't know. If they're really little, I'm not gonna let them cry for an hour, obviously. If they're a little bit bigger, a newborn, I guess the question is more specifically, I guess I'd wait a few minutes, maybe 5. Um, but this is how I feel about now, and I don't know what kind of a mom I'm going to turn out to be. So maybe I'm going to be all over that kid all the time. How often will I bathe a baby? Depends on time restraints, I guess, but I don't think every day. Every couple days, probably. Will you do extended rear-facing car seat? It's not a custom here to do that, you know. I don't know of anyone who has the baby seat at the very beginning. It does get like put like the rear facing, but it doesn't get done very. I don't know. I'd have to do some research into it. I'm not sure. Number 14, will I breastfeed? And if so, how long? I hope so. I will breastfeed. I fully intend to. For how long? I am not sure either. Like I said, I would be going back to work, and in the States, there's this whole thing about pumping, and you guys are so prepared and informed. And I don't know any moms here that have ever pumped, and people have a tendency to go to formula a lot faster uh, than, yeah. I weaned on my own when I was 7 months. My mom said I just dropped her like a hot potato. I just didn't want to have it. I didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. And my sister, I'm not sure, but I think I do want to breastfeed, and I want to do it as long as I possibly can. And there's something that I need to do a bit more research on. I do know that it's incredibly hard, or can be, and so I don't expect it to just go smoothly. But it's something that has always seemed very natural to me, and I don't see why you wouldn't, at least for me. When will you introduce solid baby food? Depends. It's not recommended that you do it anywhere before 4 months, 4.5 months. And some people wait till 6 months. I know that a friend of ours with their baby, he was just ready for it. He was ready for food. He wanted it. He knew what it was all about, and they started him a little after 4.5 months or 4 months, and he's doing on fine. I think it depends. I don't think there's a set rule for a kid. I think you have to. I mean, you have to be careful and not start feeding them like honey or peanuts or whatever, but you just have to get to know your baby and decide. Uh, an informed decision, but yeah. Uh, do you want a boy or a girl first? I'll have a Muppet if they're healthy. But I've said this before. I think a girl because I really want to have a daughter, to dress them up and like. I'd love to have a daughter, and I probably want to have a baby girl first because then I wouldn't have that added stress of trying to have a girl later, which sounds so silly. I know. I'd be happy with whatever I get, but yeah, in a perfect world, I guess I'd like to have a little girl first, but I really don't care. Uh, do you have names picked out? Yes, we do have some names picked out. How many kids do you want? I always thought two. My husband comes from a family of three. Now I'm leaning more towards three. Sometimes I think having a big family would be great. So no less than two, hopefully three, and who knows if we go for more. Will you homeschool? No, that's really not done here. And I think it's a great thing. I cannot even begin to think how I would do that since I'd also be working. So, home or hospital birth? I am definitely looking into home birth. I want to do some research on it actively here. I know it's done in the Netherlands. They do it all the time. There's a high percentage of people in the Netherlands who have their babies there, and here it's becoming more and more of a thing that people do. So my husband is almost on board with the idea, but I would never do something that he's not comfortable with. So maybe like a birth center to compromise on our first kid. I don't know, but definitely something that I am interested in. Planned C-section, epidural, or natural birth? No planned C-section. Epidural, I'm hoping not. And then, yeah, I think a natural birth, a vaginal birth with no medication would be my ideal because I think that the female body can do it, and I really want to have that experience, share that with the rest of all the women in the world who have always had kids. I want to feel like I'm a part of that, and I think it's a very empowering experience. So I would love to say that I want to do that. That being said, yeah, you never know how things are going to work out. So that would be my goal, but I am hoping that I can roll with the punches. 22. Will you drink while pregnant? Clearly not get hammered, but a glass of wine occasionally. No, absolutely no, totally no. Why? Because it's also, here people do it, eh? People will have a glass of wine, and doctors are okay with that here. I personally wouldn't do it. Also because for me it's not a big thing to give up. I am not a drinker, never have been. I have a yeah, I will have a couple sips of champagne or something, but I can never just drink the whole thing, and it's not something that I really enjoy. So no,